Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Dr. Maribeth Kuzmeski, president of the consulting firm Red Zone Marketing. Maribeth and her firm personally consult with some of the nation's top financial professionals, managing from $300 million to over $1 billion in client assets. She's written 9 books, including the bestseller Connectors and The Clients Went Wild, both of which I happen to be featured in. She's an international keynote speaker and a regular presenter at the Barron's top producer conferences. Maribeth, thanks so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me, Seth. I'm excited.
All right. So Maribeth is also one of the keynote speakers at our Ultimate Referrals Summit, which we'll talk about later. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned in my brief intro, I opened up a marketing consulting firm, and one of my first clients, my 5th client actually, was a financial advisor. He didn't believe that any of this marketing stuff was going to work, that I was telling him that I learned in my MBA program was going to work. And so he said, hey, you know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to pay you on performance. If you really think this is going to work, you got to get licensed, and it's called sharing commissions. And I didn't know anything about the financial industry, but I thought, you know what? I have 4 other clients. So I think I'll do it. And so I did, and I got fully licensed, and we started marketing, and we found some niches. And from there on, I was able to help him grow his business. And then he got asked, hey, how are you doing this? And he gave credit to me. Now, I didn't close any sales. He closed all the sales, but I guess he gave me some credit. So I went and spoke to his broker-dealer conference. And next thing you know it, I've got 40 clients who are financial advisors. And I started to speak around the country. And that was about 20 some years ago. So,
right, which makes you all of 24. Understood. So you're one of the keynotes at the Ultimate Referral Summit. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes people are business owners, advisors, agents are making when it comes to trying to generate referrals?
Yeah, I think that we believe that referrals are just going to happen because we're doing a good job. And that actually does happen. But the problem is you're not going to get nearly as many referrals as if you actually are making a more concerted effort. Now, the concerted effort does not have to be asking for referrals. Now, Bill Gates will tell you it's good to ask, and I'm telling you that it's also good to ask, but there's a lot of advisors who just don't feel like maybe they should ask, or they can ask, or they don't feel comfortable doing it. And so what we've put together is a whole strategy for gaining more unsolicited referrals. So referrals that you aren't physically asking for, but yet you're getting by the structure of your business, by the way you're setting up your social media and your website. And it's not only getting the referral, but it's converting the referral that's really critical.
All right. Now, the majority of advisors, hate to have to ask for referrals. We all think that just being good at our job should be good enough. How come clients don't refer without being educated or prompted? How come the majority of advisors aren't getting that number of organic referrals they would like? Why aren't they more referable?
So, well, that's a heck of a question, Seth, because there's
and I know we're going to do a deeper dive on the summit, but you give us a shorter answer.
Yeah, there's so many things involved in that. But I think one of the reasons that advisors don't get you're not going to get referrals from everybody. Some people are just never going to refer business. And you go, this person would be a great refer. Why aren't they referring business? They just don't feel comfortable doing it. And there's going to be some people like that. But I think that there's this huge disconnect between what the clients think about you. They, as a financial advisor, they love you. They think you're awesome. They know that you've helped them change their lives and buy a second house and retire and everything else. And your prospects think that you're trying to sell them something. And there's this huge disconnect between what your clients know and what your prospects think. And when someone starts talking about a financial advisor, so one of your clients starts talking about you, their reaction is the same thing that we get as a financial advisor talking about our practice. Uh-oh, this is going to be a sales pitch. And that kind of shuts it down. And so how do you train your clients to be able to have the right kind of conversation? And so that's a really big part of what we'll talk about in the summit as well, is how do you get your clients to know how to have the right conversation? Who's a good client for you without giving them a script to read, right?
Which is never going to go over very well, and they're not likely to carry it around with them. You talk, you teach a lot about the client experience and how that can be structured in such a way to generate more organic, unsolicited referrals. What does a phenomenal, a referable experience look like, and why aren't most of us creating that?
Yeah. And I think when we think about the experience itself, we think, oh my gosh, we've got to have like flashy things happening and send lots of gifts and do all this stuff. And it doesn't necessarily need to be that. It is when they walk out of your office, they say to you, this was an incredible meeting. Okay, that's an experience. And it could have been just what happened in your interaction. And it could have been that you were just listening to them about their family, about what's happening, and making sure that everything's, giving them the reassurance that everything's okay. But it's what happens when they have interactions with your office. How do they feel about that? And that feeling gets them to talk about it. And so, how do you generate that feeling? Well, that's, it's not an easy answer. We don't just say, well, you can't just give a one-word answer to that. And you can't just hand them a big birthday cake and say, this is going to be it. They're going to love me now. It's over time, but it's so a series of things that we do to create that experience.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about, you've got quite a collection of 9 books. Talk a little bit about the books and how they're helping folks.
Yeah, I mean, books are something, and I've learned this after being someone who's written 9 books, is that I've written a couple textbooks. I force my students to read the textbooks, but a lot of people buy books and never read them. And so part of it is, I think that if you're buying a book, it's probably a good idea to read it, but maybe you need to go to Audible, or maybe you need to go to Kindle, maybe you need to do something else. Because inside of the books, all the books that I've written are actionable things that you can do in your business. It's not theory and concepts and anything like that. Actionable ideas that you can use in your business right away, whether it's how to connect better, how to network better, or whether it's how to put your website together better so that it really attracts the right people and people take some action as a result of coming to your website. It's things like that that are in my books. They're all actionable. And I think both, and the Clients Went Wild and the Connectors are less than a 2-hour read. So it's not a lot of time, but I know sometimes we'd rather just watch a few videos on TikTok. So
that's a whole different conversation. You know what? You opened the door. How have you seen the changing social media landscape help advisors, be more referable? I mean, do you have any advisors who are successfully using TikTok now?
There's advisors in the RIA space who are using some TikTok. In the broker dealer space, they aren't using nearly as much of that for some obvious reasons. But I think that what TikTok does, whether you're using it or you're not using it, it's the video aspect of it that's really critical. And you can do that same thing on LinkedIn. When you embed a video in LinkedIn, you're actually reaching to your audience, because your audience probably, if you're working with people that are getting ready to retire, are on LinkedIn. So creating some videos and letting them get to know you. The reason video works is because it's like going to a seminar. I'm sitting in the back of the room. I'm kind of skeptical, but I see you up there and kind of like you. And I think you look like a good person. And we get a feeling about people when we watch video. And I think that's why video works. I know that's why it works on TikTok, because it's interesting. We can watch it. We don't have to do a lot of engagement. But when we're talking about being a financial advisor, we want to really keep that professionalism when we're dealing with somebody's money. It's not about, doing a dance and stuff like that. And those are the things that really go viral on TikTok. Although there's a lot of how-tos that are viral on TikTok, and things like, how do you retire before age 50 or something like that. And those things are really interesting. But, the dancing and the singing and all that, not necessarily for financial advisors.
Yeah. Some of my wife's best performing TikTok videos are making the kids lunches for school. And she's like, that's not my marriage and parenting tips. How come more people aren't watching that? So I totally get what you're saying. You've helped so many advisors and businesses over the years. What do you like best about what you do?
It's about seeing the results, and this is the thing that, we do consulting. And so we get to see the results when we do consulting. When I'm speaking and giving ideas out, when I'm speaking, I don't always hear from people saying, hey, I used that idea and it really worked. But when I do, it is the greatest thing, because they haven't necessarily paid me for that information, but they thought it was valuable enough to take the information and use it. And that makes me feel great, because I feel like from the consulting, we know what's working and we know what's not working. And I like to share that all over the place. And I don't share it on TikTok, but I share it all over the place. And I do it because I think that people can benefit from it. And that's the whole goal.
Absolutely. Other than the 9 books that you've written, what are some of your favorite books you've read?
So marketing books. One thing, I have been reading a lot of more kind of self-help books, and I'm reading a book right now, and I'm going to look it up so I make sure. I'm actually listening to an Audible. It is called How to Be Perfect. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not really what it's about, but it is about, it's by Michael Schur, who wrote The Good Place. And it's not about how to be perfect, but it's about how we actually can't be perfect, and how we need to think about virtues and the things that we're doing in our lives and how it all comes together and impacts other people. But there's these people up there saying, well, you need to be perfect. You need to do all these things right. And everything, you know what? It's never going to happen that way. It's one of my favorite listens. I listen to it on Audible, but again, it's How to Be Perfect. And the title actually has the T off of the How to Be Perfect. Like, it's How to Be Perfect, because that's the whole thing about it. It's about how do we take the things that happen in life and use them and understand that we're never going to be perfect. And I think that it applies a lot to business as well, because I just heard from a financial advisor this morning, and she's like, I'm really upset. My net new business isn't up right now. I've got some things going out the back door because people are buying properties or whatever. And, it's never going to be perfect, right? Well, we have to always continue to move forward and say, well, what's next? And what can we do better? And how can we get just a little bit better, but not perfect?
Awesome. This has been Seth Greene with Maribeth Kuzmeski. You can check her out at redzonemarketing.com. And if you want to join us for the Ultimate Referral Summit and get a deep dive into everything she's offering, go to ultimatereferralsummit.com/offer. Maribeth, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening, and hopefully we'll see you on the summit. Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.